What do you do when you're Marvel Studios and you want to wring a little bit more money out of the Avengers franchise? You start an obvious cash grab cartoon, throw it on Disney Plus, and just try to siphon money directly out of your consumers' pockets. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Nerdy 430, the show where comedian Tim Keck and I nerd out about things that we have watched lately. Today, we're going to be talking about What If on Disney Plus. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing okay, Kevin. This show sucks. This is bad. It's not good. It's crap. I mean, this is the first time I literally feel like ripped off by Marvel. I feel like I've gotten my money's worth every single time. And this is the first time literally watching the first episode of this where I saw the animation in the first 10 seconds and I was like, they don't give a shit about us. We're just money to them. We are numbers that they're trying to exploit and they're trying to rip us off. This is the first time I feel like I haven't gotten my money's worth with a Marvel product, and it pisses me off. And Kevin, before we get into this, though, we've been gone a little while. We've been missing from stuff. We missed a couple weeks. That's not like us. We're the model of consistency. Do you want to fill people in on why we've been taking so much time off?
Yeah, well, okay. So, I mean, I got COVID.
Kevin got COVID.
I got COVID in Atlanta, Georgia. Shout out to Atlanta. And Tim, you were also sick for a while. I wanted to ask you how you feeling, because you were sick you didn't have COVID, but you were sick.
I'm still kind of sick.
That's insane, man.
Yeah,
you don't get sick like this. We've known each other for years. I've never known you to get sick for a long time.
Yeah, I don't get sick. I'm a model of health and have like some sort of like a chest infection or something that I went to the doctor and they were like, sleep it off. I've been sleeping. It's not off. So I'm kind of before we jumped on this, I was actually just Googling doctors. Apparently, as an adult, it sounds like you're supposed to have a primary care doctor. I have like a secondary or third doctor. So I need to find my primary and I got to get some meds. Honestly, if there's any doctors out there, if anyone can just send me a prescription for antibiotics. Are antibiotics like just, what are they? Are they just like one size fits all? Are they like the flex fit of things? You just go on antibiotics and it's just whatever, you just feel better?
Antibiotics. So those are specifically for bacterial infections. So if you got a viral infection, antibiotics aren't going to do anything because your body's got to fight that virus off. But if you have a bacterial infection, like if you have like strep throat or something like that, antibiotics help supercharge your immune system so that you can knock that out. I don't know why. I'm not a doctor. I frequently check WebMD. I am a hypochondriac, but even in 30 years of hypochondria, I still somehow have not achieved an actual medical degree. It's funny you mentioned that about primary care doctors too, because that's always something. It's always like anytime you go to when you live in New York City, you don't go to the same doctors a lot. It's a lot of shopping around for different people. It's a lot of like, look, I got to go see somebody about my eyes. The last person I saw sucked. So I went to an eye doctor one time. I show up to an eye doctor. It's in Tribeca. I go down there. It's a basement office, which is already a bad sign. If you're going downstairs and you start off in the ground level, it's not going to be a good doctor's office. So I go downstairs into this place.
For medicine. But if you're going to go eat at a restaurant, going underground, I think is a pro.
Oh my God. It's only, complete opposites of the spectrum. If you go to a restaurant and you start off on the ground floor and you have to go upstairs immediately to get into the restaurant, it's a bad restaurant. It's a bad restaurant.
It's a bad sign.
You want a restaurant that's not going to survive a flood.
Like in New York,
every year, it's like every time a hurricane comes through New York City and the floods happen, it's like a tragedy. It's like a California wildfire that just knocks out the best restaurants, and then new restaurants spring up in their wake.
It knocks out all the best restaurants and all the worst doctors.
Oh my God. I can only hope that this doctor's office that I went to got wiped out. Look, I don't wish that kind of misfortune on anybody, but this is like one of the worst medical experiences I've ever had. I went down there to see an eye doctor. I show up. The first thing they ask me at the desk is if I'm there for an eye doctor or the dentist, because the way this office works, there's a shared waiting room. If you look to the left, you see a bunch of like cubbies that have like fabric, like a fabric curtain shutting it off. It's not even a physical door. It's just a fabric curtain separating this cubby from the waiting room you're in. Off to the left, it's eye doctors. Off to the right, inches away, it's a dentist office. This is not a reputable place of business. I go in for the eye exam, and the person, the optometrist, not ophthalmologist, that's another big mistake I made. The optometrist that was checking out my eyes didn't take my contacts out to do the eye exam. And she's like, oh, your eyes can't breathe. And I was like, are you sure I shouldn't have taken my contacts out? And she's like, yeah, leave them in, but your eyes can't breathe. And then I went and got a second opinion. She told me, this is 4 years ago. She told me if I didn't stop wearing contacts immediately, literally that same day, I was going to go blind within 6 months. It is the first time in my life that I ever sought a second opinion. I went to another eye doctor. This dude, turns out, ophthalmologist to the stars. He had photos of like David Bowie and all these celebrities who helped out with their vision care. So I felt like I was in good hands. You know, David Bowie died, but his eyes, for all I know, were great. So,
yeah, but for all we know, they could have been terrible.
It could be what caused his death. I haven't checked the autopsy.
You didn't see it coming.
There's always a chance. So I go into this guy. He, shocker, has me take my contacts out to do this thing. And I was like, I'm going to go through the whole eye exam, and I'm not going to bring up what she brought up because I want to see if he notices the same thing or not. Eye exam goes completely normally. At the end of it, he's like, do you have any questions for me? And I'm like, am I going blind? And he's like, what would make you think that you are going blind? And I was like, well, I was told by someone that I was going
medical
blind.
Professional told me I was going blind.
Right. And we start talking a little bit, and I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, she said that my eyes couldn't breathe, but also she didn't have me take my contacts out for the exam. And he was like, she didn't have you take your contacts out for the exam? And I was like, no. And he was like, that is not a person you should go see ever again. So one doctor's advice to another doctor.
Yeah.
Anyway, I tell you that story to tell you this story.
God. Okay. Wait, I thought it was really funny. I was hoping that when they were like dentist or eye doctor, it was the same person doing both.
He just needs to know what hat to put on.
Yeah. He needs to know what like gown to wear, or what like, what do they call it? I want to say a blazer, but that's not what they.
A blazer? A medical blazer?
I'm going to put on my medical blazer.
Tim, you're thinking of professional golfers.
Yeah, I think so. After winning the Masters, but they won like, yeah. But then it would be like a show, like a green jacket means they're a really good doctor.
Oh my God! You go into this office. There's 3 coat hooks behind the reception desk. You got your dentist blazer, you got your optometrist blazer, and you have the jacket from winning the Masters. And they're just like eyes, teeth, or golf.
Phil Mickelson's optometry, dentistry, and golf consulting.
Jesus Christ.
I also think it's funny that you caught COVID and then you talked for 20 minutes about this eye exam that happened years ago.
Look, the eye exam is more interesting than anything that happened with COVID.
And COVID's interesting. COVID's in the zeitgeist. It's like Marvel's What Ifs. You know, people are like questioning, why is this happening? Why did this happen to us? Why are we losing so much time on this horrible disease? So I'm sure people would love to hear about your COVID experience. Can you taste stuff? Have you lost all sense of taste? You still hate Marvel What Ifs, so I'm assuming you can still taste.
Honestly, when I lost all sense of taste, it's the only time I could tolerate What If even slightly. I mostly have my taste back now. Losing my taste was the biggest inconvenience. The worst part of COVID, thankfully, because I had a mild case, the worst part of it was missing a wedding that I was supposed to be at. That was a huge bummer. You know what though, in terms of, why is this happening to me? Why did I have a mild case? Why is the worst that what happened to me? Why is the worst of it that I lost my sense of taste? It's because I got the fucking vaccine. Because I'm not a goddamn idiot. So
you did. So you changed your mind on this because you were anti-vax for a long time.
Oh my God. Don't you even for a second. I don't want people to wonder if that's true. I don't want people to think there's any chance. If you are listening to this show right now and you are an anti-vaxxer, fucking go jump off a bridge. Leave the AirPods in, go jump off a bridge. Humanity doesn't need you anymore.
I'd say maybe before you jump off a bridge, just go get vaccinated.
But no, frankly, if you made it to September 2021 and you're still like, well, I don't know. I want to see what the science says. The science says jump off a bridge.
I think it's funny that grown-ups are scared of the vaccine, you know? Like, I get it. Like, if you're a new parent and your kid is going to and you're like, oh, I'm going to be injecting my kid with stuff. And I don't know that. I feel like that's a scary thing that I emphasize with, even though I still think we should all just get vaccinated, because that's what you do as a concerned society and community. You try and watch out for each other. And that's kind of our communal contract as American citizens, is to pay our taxes, get vaccinated. Like, it's an obligation. But like, as a grown up, you're like, oh, well, the government's going to be, I don't know what they're going to do, but you're a grown man. And we have like big ass biker dudes out there saying, I don't want a needle in my arm. Like, grow up, baby. You've just been injecting your body with steroids after gym for like years, and you're scared of something a doctor might do to you. Like, whatever. And again, if you're getting your vaccine and you have to go downstairs into the doctor's office, maybe that's when you turn around and you're like, okay, maybe I don't need this. But if you're like on, even footing, if you're flat.
If you are going downstairs, the only thing they are going to inject you with is horse dewormer. That is a downstairs drug. That is a downstairs situation.
And some people want it. I think there should be definitely I think doctors should be able to choose if they work on unvaccinated people. Like they just get moved to the bottom, and then doctors are like, not today. And then they just have to tough it out. Did they get vaccinated? No. It's like, okay, well then, come back tomorrow. It's like, I don't know if I'll come back tomorrow. It's like, I don't know. I don't really want to risk my life for your crap. So it seems crazy, but okay. Should we talk what if? Should we talk what ifs at all? Do I feel like I had some other.
Let's talk real quick. So what if they're like, I think, if my math is right, they're 8 episodes deep into What If at this point. I could not get through. I didn't watch the most recent 2 episodes. I can't do it. This show is too bad. They don't respect us. The show doesn't respect us. And so I don't respect the show.
Yes, they are. We just dropped their 7th episode. So we are going to be dropping this episode on the 29th. So we're not going to be talking about the episode that comes out on the 29th, obviously. I don't know how many spoilers we even need to get into. I mean, well, yeah, let's get into spoilers, because you don't care about me spoiling the stuff for you. And I kind of want to complain about each of these things. They Please. Are, I thought when they meant what if, they kind of sell you on this idea, which I think this is their fault. They sell you the what if on an idea of what if this one tiny thing changed? And the ripple effect of that tiny change, then we see the ramifications of that. But it's really not that. It's what if this tiny thing changed and then everything else changed too? And there's no rhyme or reason to it. There's
dude, yes.
There's one where it's T'Challa. What if T'Challa's Star-Lord? And so what if a 12-year-old T'Challa is abducted by space pirates? He's going to turn them into humanitarians. He's going to sit down with Thanos and convince him to join his team, which also makes Thanos somehow the weakest guy in the universe. It's just everybody acts differently. All of a sudden he's in love with Nebula. It's this doesn't make any sense at all. There's nothing. There's no continuity here. There's no reason here. And so I don't know. It's crazy. It's dumb. But at the same time, we get a scene where what's that guy's name? The weird guy, the Collector. At the same time, we get a scene with the Collector where he is pulling out all of these weapons, and he's got the helmet from Thor Ragnarok that's throwing spikes. He's got I don't remember what he had. I think he had Cap Shield. He had all these other weapons from the Marvel Universe. And it's that's the stuff I want. That's the stuff I think is cool. That's the stuff that's neat. Spider-Man wearing Doctor Strange's cloak. I'm in on this. I don't care if it's a child's drawing. I'm still excited about it. My blood still gets pumping. So even if it's crap, if you do the gimmick right, I'm in it. I'm into it. But I don't know. I think they sold us on one thing. They sold us on being taken seriously. And really what these are fun college kid projects. These are graduation projects for Marvel fans who just wanted to make a dumb thing.
Dude, this does feel this feels like the final project for a fucking class.
Yeah, it is.
You nailed it. Where it's the What If comics are the same way. Frankly, I never cared for them because every time they would have a really fun idea, you would go in because exactly like you said you were sold on that idea. And then it's just the upfront idea is just a Trojan horse to change everything they want to in that story. A perfect example is like what it should be is a first episode. What if Captain Carter were the first Avenger? Look, this episode was boring. Super Soldier Peggy Carter is awesome. She's great. The costume's cool as fuck. She's like a cool character. It does highlight like a very basic thing, which is like, why did they go out of their way to find one perfect like Steve Rogers that could take the serum when Peggy Carter was right there? And the answer is 1940s sexism. But like, it's this thing of like, yeah, they had a perfect fucking candidate and they're still like, okay, well, it can't be a woman. So we got to find a man that we can give this thing to. So like, it should be just this nice upfront thing where, you know, we see what happens if Peggy takes the serum. Unsurprisingly, she's fucking great. She's a cool character. She's a great like Captain Britain, whatever her name ends up being in that. I think just Captain Carter. But ultimately the events that play out aren't that different because it's still pretty much the story we saw. So it's kind of like, I don't know. It's like it's an answer to a question, and it's cool in that we see this character in a new light, but it's also kind of dull because it doesn't end up changing as many things as you would think. Basically, it's just an excuse for there to be like a giant, like magic tentacle monster at the end, which kind of, I don't know. It doesn't jive with how, relatively speaking, grounded the rest of the first Avenger story was. But then when we go into what if T'Challa became Star-Lord, it's like, this is such a fucking ridiculous premise. It's like, why? It's like asking, what if Red was ice cubes? It's just like a nonsensical question. Like, so much has to change to make that thing happen, where it's like, oops, they accidentally ended up in Wakanda instead of wherever the fuck they abducted Peter Quill. I don't know. It's an excuse to be, it could have been like, what if the Collector were an action hero? Like, so much changed that it just is not reliant on that original idea at all. I think the sweet spot's got to be somewhere in the middle, right? You need to have a question happen where it is like a small change, like Matrix style. What if you took the blue pill instead of the red pill? Just like a small change. But then we see plausible repercussions that could plausibly, Jesus Christ, I can't talk today, be related to the change that we saw take place. And I think we've only been given the extremes.
It's weird. Because they're selling us on the idea this tiny thing changes. They're selling us on the butterfly effect while not accurately portraying the butterfly effect, in my opinion, where there's just everything changes, where it's like, I don't think that's it. I think it's like a ripple, you know? Also, like the Sharon Carter one, I'm like, is she, or sorry, Peggy Carter, is she a U.S.? Does she work for the U.S.? Is she like a U.S. citizen, or is she like a British intelligence? For some reason, I was under the impression that she was like working with the U.S. government. And she was like a spy. Like, isn't like wasn't her TV show all about her being a spy? Like, I just think that, the question of like, why isn't Peggy Carter Captain America is an interesting like social question, which about like the dynamic of the 40s, which they kind of explore. But then they also completely neglect like Peggy as a character, which would be like, I don't know. What if she's doing more like spy espionage work? What if she's like Captain Britain? What if she just like, I just feel like there's so many more complex questions about her character that would be more fun to explore than just like Space Dragon, her getting trapped in a portal, coming out. I get why they want to like do that stuff, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just weird. And then the T'Challa thing, like if T'Challa is so awesome as Star-Lord, like Peter Quill sucks. What you're telling us is that Peter Quill sucks. Peter Quill's a piece of shit. He's terrible at this, and we should all hate Peter Quill. That's the impression I got from watching this T'Challa thing, which I think like, I think T'Challa has gotten with like, you know, R.I.P. the death of Chadwick Boseman. I think people look at the Black Panther character differently than how he's actually been portrayed. You know, like, I don't know if he's like the noblest guy in Black Panther, right? Like he lost in combat and then usurped a king. Like the king of Wakanda. So like by the rules of Wakanda, he was an outlaw, like trying to stick it to the man. He was I think he's kind of like a selfish guy. He's not like, I don't know. I don't think he's necessarily this gregarious wonderful guy that people kind of like to think he is because Chadwick Boseman is like that guy. Like Chadwick Boseman is so awesome that people are like, oh, the Black Panther character must be awesome. But I don't think T'Challa is like this perfect. He's like a complex character with flaws. So the idea of him being a flawless Star-Lord is also like kind of, all of these are just like a little insulting. They're a little dumb. And I think like, and they just keep they just keep going too. Like this Doctor Strange one where they're like, the title is, what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? Christine Palmer dies, his girlfriend. Did you know the girlfriend of Doctor Strange? Did you know her name was Christine Palmer? I didn't know the name of her. I didn't know her name because honestly, this relationship has not been relevant in the movies at all. They barely have like worked together. They don't have any chemistry. Why is this the love story that we get handed? What if this falls apart? What if Doctor Strange loses the girl that he like kind of talks to sometimes? Like, give me a break. They're just throwing all this weight behind things that don't exist in the MCU.
Dude, the real question for that one should have been, what if Doctor Strange and Dr. Palmer were dating? They were not dating. Yeah. In the movie, it was like a very clear thing where she was frustrated that he just kind of was interested in her when it was convenient for him. This is the closest. The Doctor Strange one is the one of these that I disliked the least. It's the closest to one that I liked, but it's they actually kind of stuck with the premise on this, which is, we see him desperately trying to bring her back to life, and then he discovers that he needs like power and he has to draw that from very dark places. But then the dark places he draws it from, so fucking lame. His strategy for how he builds up a lot of power is that he can summon things that are progressively more powerful and then just eat them. It feels like when you go back to the beginning of Pokemon after you have like level 50 things and you're just going through the bushes taking out like level 2 Rattatas with one hit. It's just boring and cyclical and repetitive. Sure, it would, I guess, be effective, but it's like you have this like cartoon, you can do whatever you want. This is the most compelling plot you could think of. And real quick, while we're talking about doctors, I realized I never cycled back to this idea that primary care doctors in New York City. Okay, so when you live in New York City, you go to see a lot of doctors because you have a lot of experiences like the eye doctor, dentist thing, where it's just like, that was not ideal. So next time I want to see somebody else. So anytime you do an onboarding form at one of these doctor's offices, they usually have a place on there that you can fill out your primary care physician's information. And for most people, I think you just don't put anything there because we don't really have a primary care physician. Well, I, a couple years ago, started like getting annual physicals for my healthcare or for my, like health insurance coverage through my job. And so I went to this one doctor at Mount Sinai that I liked. And so I started going back to her every year. And it got to a point where I was like, I guess she's kind of de facto my primary care physician. So I started writing her name on things. When I got the COVID diagnosis and I did the contact tracing stuff through the city of New York, they gave me a call, and one of the things they told me was that I have to let my primary care physician know so that they can kind of make a note of that. And, if anything goes wrong, I'm supposed to reach out to them first. So I had this moment via the Mount Sinai app where I do all my like messaging back and forth, where I basically told her that I had COVID, but also revealed to her for the first time that she is my primary care physician. I did like a DTR moment via Mount Sinai messaging app where it was like, hey, got COVID, feeling okay. They just told me to let my primary care physician know. And that primary care physician is you. So I hope that this relationship has meant as much to you as it has to me, because I've been telling people about us.
I'm picturing just mapping that onto telling someone like, listen, I have corona. You might want to get yourself checked. It's just like, listen, you're my primary care doctor, and I've just been putting your name out there. I'm sorry if this is awkward, but I've been telling everyone.
I thought there was a possibility when I was waiting for a response. I thought there was a possibility that she was going to be like, oh, sorry, I have too many other patients right now. I don't know that I can be your primary care.
I got broken
I'm
up
flattered.
with my.
I think you're great.
I think you're cool. Was just the wrong time, wrong place for us. Talking about your Doctor Strange take where that guy's doing this boring stuff. It's also like, oh, he's just been eating the souls of like evil spirits for like a millennium, like forever. They're just like forever he's been doing this.
Yeah.
And then our good Doctor Strange stands a chance against him. What is that? There's no way. Listen, if a guy has been eating the spirits of like if this guy's just been collecting energy for 1,000,000 years and just shows up to Doctor Strange, who at this point is like 2 years into being Doctor Strange, he's going to get his ass handed to him instantly. It's not even a fight. It's just such a crazy thing. Like, it'd be cooler if it was more grounded. If there was something like a more slight divergent, that'd be like so much better than all this stuff. I don't know, man. Here's what I'll tell you. The one I like the most.
Oh my God, yes.
One you haven't watched. This one I actually enjoyed. What if Thor was an only child? It's fun. It's just fun. I think these have grown on me a little bit because my expectations are so low for them. They're so bad. Like, it's just I'm watching them the way I would if this was like, if you were like, hey man, check out this cool Avengers animation somebody did online, and it's like a link to a YouTube video and it's some random dude like doing some like, that's how I'm treating these now. And I think I would enjoy that if you send me that link. So that's kind of what if Thor was an only child? Is Thor throwing a party? It's just mapping a house party, like a teenager, like throwing a party when his parents are out of town, and he's doing it on Earth. And then, he's trying to do it so his mom doesn't find out. And they're just introducing all these other characters, and Jane Foster's there, and S.H.I.E.L.D.'s freaking out. But Thor's just like, oh my God, I'm just having a party, man. It's cool. And it's like, it's fun. It's just dumb. It doesn't mean anything. It's useless information. There's nothing, there's nothing that really says anything about anybody's character. It's just like, what if Thor was a brat and he threw a house party on Earth and all this other stuff was weird too? And I'm like, okay, cool, man. I guess I'm on board for this. There's no stakes. There's nothing here. This isn't to be taken seriously, which I don't know. I'm just used to taking the MCU seriously, dude. I'm used to like dissecting everything. Everything means something. And these are meaningless. There's no meaning here. So just try and take whatever joy you can from them. That's my advice. If you're watching these, enjoy what you can and don't overthink it.
Yeah, you're right. I think this is a note that I need to take for all the things that we watch in general. Is that I can't expect everything to be perfect. I got to accept that some stuff is just going to be trash,
Yeah, I was going to say perfection's a high bar. This is crap, but people can enjoy watching crap. I don't know. You have to lower your expectations for this. It's tough because the MCU has spent so much time building up the bar with their movies, and they say, this is the standard we reach. We're pumping out Shang-Chi's all the time. This is what we do. These are like reliable blockbusters. You're going to have a good time if you come to these movies. They might not make the most sense. They might not be the best movie you've ever seen, but you're going to have fun. And then they give us the TV show, and they're like, well, this is mostly filler. This is some of it's good. Some of it's bad. It's not nearly as cool as the movies, but it's something. And now they've given us this cartoon, which is just like, we had this leftover crap. Do you want this crap? I'm just going to leave it out on the floor in case you feel like eating some crap. And, on my, most, depressing days, I'm like, I just want a taste. I want a taste of whatever Marvel crap I can get a hold of. And I, sit on the floor and I shovel this into my mouth. Can we end talking about zombies?
It's funny you mention that. I think that before we do, I think the most relatable part of that to me, the phrase, we're going to leave this out on the floor in case you feel like eating some crap. There was one time, and probably the like grossest, most college thing that I ever did was one time we got out of the like comedy group that I used to perform with would rehearse in this one classroom building that was usually pretty much empty on weekends. So we would rehearse in there on Sunday nights. And apparently there was like some other kind of a school group that had a function in there because we got out of practice one time. There were a bunch of pizza boxes that were stacked up on top of the trash can. I mean, stacked way up on top of the trash can. So like they had filled the trash can to the brim, normal size trash can, didn't have a lid on it, ran out of room. And so they just stacked a couple pizza boxes up on top of that. So we get out of this practice, everybody's kind of hungry. And one of the members of the comedy team opens up the pizza box that's on top. And there's a couple pieces of pizza in there and they're cold. And so we had a little debate because it's like, look, technically this is in the trash. but it's not actually physically in the trash. There's multiple pizza boxes separating this top box from the actual trash can. It feels like it would be very unlikely for any like bacteria or whatever to work its way all the way up there to this top box. But technically, this is in the trash. And I had a piece of the pizza.
Yeah, I'd say you're not wrong. I'd say this is a major breach of leftover food etiquette by the previous group, because if you have a couple slices of pizza and you're leaving the room and you know the next group is like gonna be there, I think you just leave it out on the table. I think you just leave the box out. There's extra pizza. Worst case, the next group throws it away. But best case, they know it's like separate and distinct from the trash. This is out.
Exactly.
This pizza's out. And pizza's another thing where like pizza doesn't get germs. Pizza doesn't go bad. You could drop pizza on the ground. It's fine. Like pizza is like somehow, I don't know. It's like canned military food. It's like Spam. It's just like, it's indestructible. You just, a nuke goes off, we'll have pizza and Twinkies, like
pizza does not get germs. A doctor in a basement told me that.
Yeah. I don't know. I've definitely had my share of 2-day-old, just been out pizza. I think that's what being a college kid's about.
This is.
Yeah.
Marvel left the pizza box on this one on top of the trash.
I don't even think it's pizza, because pizza is like still edible. It's I don't know, what was something, they left out, they cut an avocado in half and they left it out on the counter for a week.
Oh my God.
Would an avocado still be edible?
Fuck no. Are you kidding me, dude? Avocados. If you left an avocado an hour, that thing is like just brown as can be.
I try to think of something that would because pizza, I think I would still be excited about pizza if it was like 2 days old and had just been left out of the fridge. I think I'd still be like, oh, it's just like some room temp pizza. I think I could. There's a part of me that could get behind that. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of something I don't know, that would start kind of like smelling bad, but is still edible. I don't know. I'm going to have to think about it. It's like spinach or something, how it starts to wilt, but it's kind of wilted, but I guess you could still eat it, There's something there. Anyway, I want to talk about the zombies thing. Yeah, you were really pumped about the zombie thing. You told me the zombie thing sucked, and going in knowing it sucked, I enjoyed it a little better than I thought. I think I know what your problem is with the zombies, but do you want to talk about it? Do you want to get it off your chest before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah. It's fucking dumb. It's boring. They managed to make a zombie episode really boring instead of having, I guess, more fun with it. It kind of feels like the same thing we've been complaining about, where it's like, what if this one thing changed, but also everything else changed? And now suddenly, Kurt from Ant-Man is there, and I am struggling to even think about all the people that were on this team. It was Winter Soldier, Peter Parker, Bruce Banner, the Wasp, Kurt from Ant-Man, and guess
Happy
what?
Hogan.
Yeah, Happy's there. And guess what? Everybody's going to be trying to be funny. I just don't, there's no world in which I can suspend my disbelief, even in a show about superheroes where a zombie outbreak happened. I can't suspend my disbelief enough to tell me that the Winter Soldier's going to be cutting it up with fucking Kurt from Ant-Man. Why? Why would I? Absolutely not.
I mean, I agree. They do a couple things that I like, which is Bucky Barnes picks up the shield after killing Captain America. Sharon Carter has or Happy Hogan has the little wrist hand, plasma blaster from Iron Man. So then Sharon Carter picks it up. That's the kind of cool thing. I mean, I don't know why Peter Parker doesn't end up with the cloak of levitation, the hand blaster thing, Captain America's shield. That's kind of what I wanted from this, is Peter Parker holding all of these things, holding the hammer, Thor's hammer. I want all this. That's the kind of shit that I would get so excited about in this. Maybe they're saving some stuff or don't want to oversaturate us with things. But the idea of mixing and matching these different pieces of iconography, I think, is a missed opportunity. But yeah, it's kind of fun to see all these guys here. The zombies are weird though, man. I was why is a zombie shooting arrows? This is crazy to me. I get it if Captain America's zombie is like stronger than the other zombies. I get it if like Iron Man is a zombie, but he's like accidentally sets off his repulsor rays or whatever. Like, I don't know. I get that. But like the idea of them being like functioning high level zombies is weird to me. It was weird, but I don't know.
It's a weird line to draw.
It wasn't the worst. And we got to see. I think it's also funny to me how they do. I feel like they kind of asked everybody they could, like who would be willing to do a voice for this. And then they wrote these.
Yeah.
You know? They're like, oh, who would agree to lend their voice to this? Let's throw them all in the what if zombies. You know? Let's like just go for it. It's like, yeah, if somebody else had wanted to do it, they would have been in this, you know? If Bradley Cooper wanted to hang out, he would have been in this.
Oh my God. Yeah. They would have found some way to write fucking Rocket into it.
Yeah.
So definitely. I got a question for you as we wrap this thing up. I heard a rumor online that
about me,
about you.
Nice.
Tim, people are saying you're anti-vax.
Well, I'm just saying we don't know what's in it.
I heard a rumor online that the game plan for the rest of the series might be to draw together these characters from these separate episodes early in the season.
Oh,
so
boo.
Basically do some kind of like a big crossover with the what if characters. So have like, you know, Peter Parker with the cloak of levitation meet up with Captain Carter, meet up with Star-Lord, T'Challa, yada, yada, yada. Does that make you more interested in the series or does that make you less interested in the series?
My instinct was to boo. It seems like a weird Band-Aid that in their mind, they're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I think that could have been, if they weren't doing all these tiny little episodes, it'd be entirely possible to do a what if where it's just like an alternate reality and Sharon Carter's Captain America, T'Challa's, like they could have just done this. I guess it's cool that we get these mini apps and then it all combines into something. But if they did a what if where it's like, what if, I don't know, Gwen Stacy got bit by the spider and somehow that ends up with like, I don't know, Gwen Stacy also being the Sorcerer Supreme and Peter Parker and like Spider-Man. I don't know. Like I feel like they could just do this. It's funny to me that they've put any thought into this, I guess is what I'm saying. When they've clearly set a tone where like we get to do whatever we want in these episodes. We just make shit up. And then they're just making random shit up. And then they're building to another show where they're like, why are they wasting the time building something when they can just make it up in any episode they want? You know, I guess it'll be neat. I'll probably keep watching this. You know, I was more excited to watch Survivor because Survivor's back than I was to watch any of these. I've really had to like twist my own arm to like watch these, but I'll check it out. I don't know. I don't care. Who cares? Stupid.
Oh, man.
I don't know. They're fine. The show isn't great. I think I'm going to keep checking it out because why not? But it's like, it's not good. You just have to lower your expectations. You have to just be like, you know, the show's a little insulting. I feel a little insulted. I feel a little belittled too. I feel like this is the first time I'm just a dollar sign to Disney. I feel ripped off. The animation is some of the worst stuff I've ever seen. It's nigh unwatchable. But I'm slowly lowering my expectations and as a result, they've gotten better.
Yeah, you're right. We're in the wrong for having high expectations of a cartoon from Disney. How dare we expect greatness?
God forbid they put a little bit of effort into this, you know? Okay, so that's it. That's our pod this week. We'll be back next week. We're gonna figure out what we're gonna do next week, but we're back to doing this on the reg. So check it out, like, subscribe wherever you can. Give us them 5 stars wherever you can. Keep listening, do whatever. We're back, baby.
Yep, we're back. Thanks for listening, everybody. And remember, if you didn't get vaccinated, jump off a bridge. Bye.
Jump off a bridge. Bye.